beautiful day. The sun is shining, and I wish that we have a wonderful session. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Felipe. Good afternoon, Philip. Good afternoon, Victoria. How are you today, Philip?
Good afternoon, Eddie. I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Fine. How is the weather today?
It's good, thank you. I'm confused.
Why?
Do we come here for a presentation or for conversations?
Meaning?
More personally, I come here to learn myself, and that's but myself, I'm more here to learn personally. But if I'm walking into conversations, which I don't mind doing, I'd just like to know what I'm in
Okay.
for those scenarios.
So maybe we can discuss this on Discord in writing later.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Good morning, Felipe. Can you hear us? I hope you can.
Shalom, Eti. Good evening. Hello,
Shalom.
my friends.
Shalom, shalom. We are very happy that you're here. I would like to ask if you have questions that you'd like to discuss before we start reading the text today. If you have something, you can share it. If not, we can look into the whiteboard, read the text, look at the painting, and ask questions. Are there any? If there are,
Eti.
yes, please, Philippe and Felipe.
No, Eti, I have a topic, but I don't want to, enter too much because I guess it's a topic for itself. But last session we were discussing about those seven spheres and the manifestation in the feminine form, and it makes me think about an old question that I had, and that is the feminine aspect in the beginning of the Exodus, because I see a lot of relations, and I think it's quite hidden as well. But I don't know if it's the moment. Maybe we could think about this in another session.
Thank you,
but
Felipe.
just to point, yes, just to point that when you brought that images, those images made me think about this. In Exodus 1, there is 7 women that develop. They develop the content, the story of little Moshe, and after this, Moses he approached those 7 women in the well, and Sipporah as well. So these relations, I think they are quite remarkable, and I would like to discuss in any opportunity. I just remember this because it's related with the last session, but it's a large topic, I guess. It's a huge one.
Yes.
So I just wanted to register.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Other questions? So if there aren't at the moment, we can look into the whiteboard and read the text, ask questions, and see where we are at, and see what Philon think about all of this. So, who would like to read the text in English? This is Genesis 13. I hope we can see a reflection on YouTube as well. I hope we can. Yes. Who would like to read, please?
I can do that if anything.
Thank you.
And Abraham went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him into the south. And Abram, and very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. And he went on his journeys from the south even to Bethel, unto the place where his tent had been at the beginning between Bethel and Ai, unto the place of the altar which he had made there at the first. And Abram called there on the name of the Lord. And Lot also, who went with Abram, had flocks and herds and tents. Am I still there? I just heard some sound, sorry.
Yes, you can continue, verse 6.
Sorry.
Yes, you can continue, please.
And the Lord was not able to bear them, that they might dwell together, for their substance was great, so that they could not dwell together. And there was a strife between the herdmen of Abram's cattle and the herdmen of Lot's cattle. And the Canaanite and the Perizzite dwelt then in the land. And Abram said unto Lot, Let there be no strife, I pray thee, between me and thee, and between my herdmen and thy herdmen, for we are brethren. Is not the whole land before thee? Separate thyself, I pray thee, from me. If thou wilt take the left hand, and I will go to the right, or if thou take the right hand, I will go to the left. And Lot lifted up his eyes, and beheld all the plain of the Jordan, that is well watered everywhere, before the Lord destroyed Sodom, and the garden of the Lord, like the land of Egypt, as thou goest unto Zoar. So Lot chose him all the plain of the Jordan, and Lot journeyed east, and they separated themselves the one from the other. Abram dwelt in the land of Canaan, and Lot dwelt in the cities of the plain, and moved his tent as far as Sodom.
Thank you so much. Who would like to describe us the frame or the context here? What is happening? Maybe Rodrigo, Felipe, Fernando. Philip here is on YouTube. Good morning, good afternoon. Who would like to describe? Do you have a sound? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear. Well, this chapter show us the separation between Abraham and Lot. And Abram, he has a lot of silver and gold and cattle, but they servant, how can I say, they something as a fight
Yes.
with the Lot's servant.
Yes.
And then they decided to separate, and Abram allowed to Lot decide the earth, the land, and Lot chose the plan of the Jordan, and so they separate themselves, the one from the other.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, I would like us to look at the names Abram and Lot. What does the name Abram with 4 letters mean? Abram with 4 letters. I will write it here. 1 second. Yeah. What does the name Abram mean? 4 letters. Yeah. Avram. Avram. What the name mean? Who would like to answer this question?
E.T., I'm sorry, I couldn't listen to you. I don't know if it was only my audio that was broken, but
Yes, it's too low. I would say that, Fernando. Thank you.
What
It's
is low?
no, it's better. Now
It
it's
is better.
but
I'll try something. 1 second, please. 1 second. Give me a minute.
but now it's perfect. It was just for a moment. Now,
Okay. I'm sorry.
for now, it was already.
Because I did
So
not
if
hear
you
you.
Yes.
Sorry.
If you
Yes.
could make the question again.
What is the
I
meaning?
appreciate.
Yes, please. The name Abram or Avram in 4 letters. What is the meaning of the name Avram in 4 letters?
High Father, maybe.
High Father. High Father. Excellent. High Father. 1 second. I will write it. This is Av. Av. It means father. And Ram means high. Very good. Very good. Now, I would like to share with you what Philon think about the conflict between Abram with 4 letters, High Father, and Lot. Philon says something very interesting. Since Lot sits in Sodom, and Sodom is the 5, it is one of the 5 cities which are, how do you say, located in the Jordan. In the Jordan, how do you call it here? In the Jordan, the plain. He says something very interesting. He says that Lot refers to a person who lives with his senses. Again, we have 5 senses. Every human has 5 senses, and Lot is representing a person who chooses to live only with his senses, while Avram refers to the soul. So there is a conflict, and the conflict is not just between, so to speak, 2 kinds of shepherds. This is a conflict between 2 perspectives. Fernando, can you represent those perspectives? I just need to close the window here for a better sound. Can you please represent Abraham concept as a soul and Lot as a person who lives only from the senses? 1 second, and I have to close the window.
Yes. I don't know. For me, it was pretty clear, the idea that Abraham could represent the part of us that is immortal, and Lot, what is about the senses. I just read some days ago from Philon that he speaks that we have a soul that is like a light that have to be detached from everything that happens in the land of Edom, that is the land of senses. So I don't know, just some ideas about this topic.
Excellent. Thank you, Fernando. It was a surprise because...
No, Rodrigo, Felipe, what do you think about it?
I would probably comment on the separation between the 2, but it would be a little bit harder for me to connect it with Abram and Lot. But I do like the way you said that one. Thank you.
T,
Yes.
I just think about the name Lot,
Yes.
and we well, we can see that the name Lot has the value of 45, which is the same as Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And and I don't know if the letters we can use the tet and the lamed, and we get the word al, which means the how can I say mm,
Dew, dew.
dew? Yes,
Jew.
dew,
Jew.
exactly, dew. Thank you, Fernando. The dew, which is so important, and well, we get the shaman 10 times dew,
Mm-hmm.
and I just try to associate this. Uh, how can I say this informations, these characters from his name, and try to fit with the what Philon said about Lot is those who lives by sense, and I don't know if I can um, see that looking that Lot has the same value of Adam, and we get the deal in his name. I need help here.
Yes. Yes. Luria says something very interesting. Lot has the same value, 45, like Adam. But in a way, he says that Lot reflects, in a way, Adam in his not well-being. He calls this position in his language Ahoraim, which is back to back, not Adam with his full potential. Basically, Abram, when Abram will get the hay in his letter, he will be a manifestation of corrected Adam. Abraham, 20 generations after Adam, will correct Adam. In a way, we have like two options. And Abraham and Lot are not just historical figures, they are inside of us. Abraham inside of us is the one who chooses the soul, the way of the soul. And later we read in the text that he lives in the land of Canaan. Canaan versus Egypt is 1-2. We said before in our previous lessons, Canaan is 190, Canaan, while Egypt, Mitzrayim, is 380, meaning it's 1-2. The land of the one, the promised land, the land of Canaan, Egypt. So Abram and Lot are referring to a human choice. We can choose Abram way to follow the soul, and the soul does not have attachment. The soul does not go or follow senses. Can you first, before we continue this interesting conversation, what kind of senses do we have? We have 5 senses. What are those 5 senses?
See, touch, hear, taste, and smell.
Mm-hmm. Those senses, why do we need senses? Excuse me for the question. Why does human need senses?
I think we're brought into senses for the experience of here. It lets us experience the here within the confines of what they are.
Mm-hmm.
That creates the reality. It allows us to have the experience.
Yes. So
Coming down from light. Sorry.
yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Yes.
Felipe. Please go ahead.
So Philip is writing on YouTube, navigation, orientation. They help us navigate in time and space. The senses, the five senses. So what is the dispute, or what is happening here between Abram and Lot in one person? This is not a conflict between two historical figures. What is the dispute, or what is the...
Iti,
Yes, please, Fernando, yes?
if we think about the scheme of the tree of life, maybe Abraham is related with the Mohim. It is related with the supernal reality,
Yes.
the three upper spheres, and Lot with Malchut and with what is below everything. So they are disputing our emotions, maybe our midots, our
Yes.
what we feel and what make us human. So it is interesting because in our daily lives, usually we are very prone to accept everything that came from the material world, our hungry and our necessities. You know, maybe all of this is related with Lot. But to be in connection with Abraham, it is needed our will, the exercise of our will. It is something that we need to listen and to be more accurate, to be in relationship with.
Yes, it's correct, because just to deepen the direction that you chose to speak of, Lot lives in Kikar Hayarden. Kikar is, in English, is a loaf, something which is round. Here the English translate it as a plain. It's basically, Kikar is a loaf. Its value is 240 or 24, like 24 hours. And Yarden, Jordan, from Laredet, to go down. So a person who chooses to live only with the senses, so he chooses to live in a lower plane, like lower realms. There is no, he lives in a way, Lot lives in the Nefesh level, very, very low. He is, this is how Philon also described. He always has impression of the senses. If you can imagine a movie when a person sits somewhere and notice a flower, and suddenly he shouts, "Flower, flower!" Or he moves between different perfume shops, and suddenly he has like extreme emotional expression from smell or from touch. Those people who behave like this, Philon describes them as people who do not choose to live with the spirit or with the divine logos, or as Fernando expressed it, with the mochim, with the mind. They just live in the lower realms of the flesh, because, and Philon brings this argument, he says also, the animals and the cattle, they have senses, and animals navigate via their senses. It's very important for an animal. They cannot live without it. But we have, in a way, human is divided. Part of the human is living in an animal kingdom, but the developed part wants to walk in the path of the soul, in the path of the divine logos. And this dispute is happening in us almost all the time. This is an immanent dispute. Shall I pay attention to the senses I will go out. Sometimes people, it happens in the supermarket, not once, when a person notice some kind of a product on the shelf. It happened to us before the corona. A person noticed a bunch of bananas. His eyes were so focused to get as fast as possible to put his hand on a bunch of bananas that he cut 5 people between him and this shelf. Among them was a person on wheelchair, handicapped. This is an example for a person that his eyes, in a way, are so, it doesn't take any consideration. And here it is very interesting because we can experience all this almost every moment. How people give a lot of attention to what their fingers can, touch. The touching is very strong sense. They give a lot of importance. They get the input from the world only from the senses, not from the mind. And those people are considered to be like Lot. They have the potential to become Adam, but somehow they're living in the Jordan Valley, in a low place. Weinreb even takes it in his way. He says that Sodom is a place of extreme development, when people do not relate to the source anymore. This is Weinreb way to look at Sodom and to look at Lot, while Philon says that Lot is a part of us that relates or takes into consideration only the 5 senses, does not put his mind in front of everything, or the divine mind. We are granted with a divine soul that can communicate with the divine logos, but most of us is 99.9999 are choosing not to take this into consideration. They just live like Lot in the senses. Only minor, really minor, few people chooses to go with the path of the mind or the path of the soul. And this is Abram. Ines.
If I can.
Yes.
So, we're souls here having a human experience, and a lot of people tend to see it more so, or the more agreed view is we're humans here trying to find our souls. Within being in this reality here, this did start off with a point that used that as the start. Sorry, I might have to find where I was going to go with that. But originating as a soul, coming into here, you mentioned something about being with the source, and I think you said something about forgetting who we are, or that popped into my mind because of what I was going to say.
Yes, I said that maybe this is the direction. Very few people, if this is the direction, have this notion of the divine. Very few. Most of the I don't want to say population, but most of the, I don't know how to call it, most humans here in our time, not just in general. In general,
The standard at the moment
yes.
has that. But our mission more at the moment is to recognize that we are being from that side. And it is a bit of a mission at the moment. So we are kind of looking for ourselves from this physical world, which is what it takes. But to recognize that we are that in the first place is a major part. And if you can drive yourself from that side, then a lot of your signals, I guess, so to speak, start to resonate a lot more, if that's your choice. But everyone has options. Everyone was given free will, so
Yes.
it's up to everyone how they would like to do it from the beginning. And that's not to say there's a right or wrong. Everything's only learning.
True. True.
So yeah, I mean, I can keep talking, but it depends where we want to go.
Yes, maybe Fernando, Rodrigo, Felipe, would you like to say
I
something?
have one question.
Yes,
It
yes.
is very connected with what Philip was telling. In verse 8, we have this conversation that Abraham is asking to Lot choose, and to separate, saying like, let there be no fight between among us. Let's just split our kingdom, And my question is about this splitting. How does it work, and what do you think about it?
The senses, they want to govern. 1 second. In verse 9, Luria reads, this is because this is a continuity in verse 9. He says, the whole land is before thee. In Hebrew he says, Hipared na me'alai. Please separated from above me. Me'alai. Meaning, Lot, with his senses, the senses is like sitting on a person, like on his, controlling his nape in a way. Like you ask a person what you're on to. When people are really aggravated, it seems that they are like driven by something, and you ask them, what are you on to? And here he says, please separate it, like you sitting on me. And Luria says, really on me, because he was on him. The senses, they want to govern. And they sit in the nape. It's in a way Lot is, because this is also the context here. The first verse, Vaya'al Avram Mitzrayim, and Abram went up from Egypt. He did not even manage, and Philon says that Egypt is not just mitzar, like narrowness. He called this everything which is physical. He related it to Egypt, only physics. I mean organs and so. So he just ascended from Egypt, and then there's another test. It's not enough to rise or to ascend from Egypt to the land of Canaan. This is not enough. There is another challenge, and the challenge is Lot. And Lot, it means few. It has few meaning in Aramaic. In Aramaic, it means curse, but Lot means also a veil. A veil. Lot is a veil. In Hebrew, in Aramaic, it means a curse. So, in a way, the fact that we listen to the senses, it means we are functioning under a veil. Meaning, Olam HaBri'ah, and now I will speak because I move into different fields of references. Olam HaBri'ah, 1 second. We have 4 worlds, as Luria mentioned in the ancient books. We have Atzilut, nobility, Atzilut, Bri'ah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, the doing. And here, in a way, there is a veil. Call it Parsa. Did you hear the name Parsa before in Luria's writing? Have you heard the name Parsa or not yet?
I cannot remember now it.
Parsa is like a veil or separation, meaning Atzilut is nobility, is wisdom, is very, very high world. Bri'ah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, they appear in time. But wisdom, in a way, is beyond time. Why do I mention this? Because Lot, we say, it also means a veil, a cover, or a curtain. So, to bring Philon perspective, a person who lives only by his senses, he experiences life through a veil. He doesn't see the perspective of God. He just see life through lens of time. He's like limited, he's caught. And Abraham, which is here, this is when Abraham is in the divine wisdom, divine logos, Atzilut, Kohen Gadol, high priest, Parashat Emor, Fernando. So Abraham is, yes, do you connect? Abraham is beyond time and space. This is the soul perspective, the divine logos, wisdom, Atzilut, and so. And people who are driven by their senses, there are people like this. You can see them in the bus all over the place. They think that they're their body. You notice this when you walk in the street or anyway. They are like black magnet. Yes, they magnet the whole material. You go through them. You not next to them. You feel they are like black hole. They're collecting the whole universe into their hole. They don't notice, but they're creating a black gravity around them. So yes, Fernando, what would you like to say?
That just yesterday I was reading very few pages from Luria and the book of Zohar about the Parsha Behar.
Mm-hmm.
And it speaks about slavery.
Yes.
Right. It speaks like the Shabbat. Also, it speaks about the importance of the Shabbat and the Jubilee. And it speaks that the person has the will to davak, to make it the Shabbat or not. And if the person doesn't want to be free, it can manifest that wants to be a slave for his master, you know. And when we think in this perspective that you are putting that all of us can choose all the time to be free or to be a slave.
Yes, you know? Yes. This is it.
And if you choose to be a slave, the Shekhinah goes away, you know. You do not have the divine presence anymore.
True.
And you have to put a earring on your ears because you are not listening to what is happening.
This is a great thing. This is what I read last night from Philon. If the person said, Ahavti et Adoni, I love my master.
Yes, it was what I was.
I love my master. What does it mean? A person loves his own mind. He doesn't want to connect to the higher. He believes he is his own mind. And he says, Ahavti et Adoni. So, a person like this has to be pierced. Why does ear has to be pierced? Once his ear is pierced, the ear is like a vessel, and if he doesn't want to hear the divine word, his ears is pierced. Is like a damaged vessel. He doesn't want to receive the divine wisdom, so they pierced his ear like there's a hole in the cup, so to speak. Yes. Many people, most of the people of the universe in our time think that they're their own mind, their own body, senses. Very, very few people have the sense that they're coming from another realm and they want to connect and they want to find a way home. Very, very few people. Also, Philon writes about it, and he says a warning in his writing that his writing is not for everyone. And he divides his writing between beginners, people who are just starting to listen to this, and like progress, who are advanced and can hear more of a secret. Because he's relate to the secret with a lot of respect. He doesn't share the secret with everyone. He's aware of the fact that they will be hunted once truth will be spoken, because already then in 2000 years before our time, people were somewhere else. They didn't want to hear about it. So it is interesting. And many ideas that we find in Luria's books already are written in Philon's writing. Questions or thoughts that you'd like to share?
I was also thinking about with both sides to us, it's a real yin and yang kind of concept where both ends are existing at the same time and affected energetically, and wherever your attention ends up more is where it pushes you or pulls you consciously.
It's true. It's true. Our senses, the existing of our senses always deny the divine soul. This is it. The senses. A person says, but I see, but I touch. Where is God? There is no God. Oh, what do you speak about the divine soul? There's sun and there's like solar systems, there are stars, astronomy. Everything is random. This is it.
It's like our senses were limited for us to be able to have this experience. They have the limits to make this.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
We can ask, why did we grant with such senses that we could run here with them? but they help us to navigate in time and space. But because we walk, we need to know where the door is, and you know, openings, windows, and so. But to hi Venus, good morning, good morning. Not let them govern. The senses govern. Philon speaks about it. When people let their senses govern them, they become not stable in the mind. They become hungry for many, many things which are not positive, and I would not mention those things which are not positive. We can read about them in his books. When people govern by their senses, they become dangerous to themselves and to others. Hello, Venus. Questions or thoughts that you would like to share?
If I may, just one more, Eti.
Yes.
In the picture that you are sharing with us today,
Yes.
it's interesting that Lot is showing his back to Abraham, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes.
And I was reading Luria last night, and he speaks that Malchut, that you make a reference between Lot and Malchut, and he speaks that Malchut is not below the other spheres, like in the diagram that we usually see, but
Yes.
it is like back to back. It is maybe in the same level as Yesod, Netzah, and Hod, but it's showing its back to this, to the tree of life, you know.
Yes.
So it is like if we think that Abraham is the tree of life, Malchut could be Lot, that is just showing his back to the life.
Yes. Yes. Turning his back. Yes.
This is really interesting because we can think about the following text that shows the Lot's wife that no one should look back
Yes.
when Sodom was destroyed, and Lot's wife, meaning the feminine part, is so. I think once we talked about in a session about the Lot's wife being like the aspect of the soul that turns back to the matter, turns back to the senses again, and it was destroyed. It was dried out.
Yes. Yes. In a way, it is very good example about Lot's wife. She freezes in time. A person who has high impressions. Some people, they are like almost fainting. I think in the Divine Comedy, Fernando, Dante also relate to people that are. He has a special name for them in Hebrew. I'm not sure that is the right term in Portuguese or in English. But it's not a good virtue to be all the time out in those senses. And a person who always out there, he just freezes on time, while the spirit is in a constant movement. In a way, Philon says that the spirit is always being present. So, as being present, the spirit feels everything. It is everything and it feels everything. So, there's no need to follow out the senses. Because if a person follows out his senses, he's like denying God, because God is present in a person. So hunt after the senses in a way is denying God, is denying the presence of God or the Shekhinah, like Fernando mentioned earlier. Because yes, Felipe?
No, just I guess that's why Abram goes argue with God to rescue Lot, because this Malkut part must be rescued, it cannot be denied, it cannot be forgotten.
Yes, even from this part, and later he will go and rescue him. Not just in the argument or conversation between him and God. In chapter 14, he will save Lot from the 4 kings, the Babylonian kings. He will go and fight to rescue. So he even here we see Philon's thinking about Lot. Still, Abraham tries to save him twice. Once in the argument or conversation before oppositing storm, and the second he saved Lot from the 4 Babylonian kings, because in chapter 14 we shall read about the war between the 4 and the 5. It is very deep, because we can read every verse of the Bible from infinite angles. Lurias, Weinrev, Philon, sages, so many ways to look at things. And from Lot, Ruth, 10 generation, 10 or 11, depends of how we count. From Lot came Ruth, and from Ruth came David and Solomon. And we can understand why Abraham was like trying to save Lot twice. Any thoughts that you would like to share, or questions?
We for a second zoom out to the verses, please.
Yes. Second. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just to have a look at.
Do you see the letters?
Yes, I do.
That's true. Philip is writing beautiful things on YouTube. Fernando, Rodrigo, would you like to say something? Philip, would you like to ask something? Venus?
Just one little point. It is not no great things, but you said about the slave that loves his master. It is the same idea that he loves the known, you know.
Yes.
He fears the unknown.
Yes. He loves the, you mean known, to know in English? The verse to know?
Yes.
Yes.
He you know, he fears to go to the unknown.
Yes, yes, a slave. This is it. A slave. He's in love. He is in love with the known, with what he knows. Yes, it's a great definition. He doesn't want to, he cannot maybe go for the unknown. He cannot. Questions, Rodrigo? Would you like to share something? Ask something? Felipe? Philip?
Thank you, Eti. Just try to follow, just here and try to follow. Thank you very much.
And the shepherds of Lot, the shepherds, is an element within the shepherd, is an element in one person who only wants to go out, to have impressions from the market, from colors, from smells, from taste. There are people who are always going for culinary. They sit in restaurants for many hours. They follow cooking channels on TV, on the internet. They're always in the senses. So there is a conflict between those elements who are just want to be there out, to have this impression of taste and colors and smells and touch, and the shepherds who wants to be with the spirit, who wants to be with the spirit. This is the conflict. The shepherds are element in us. There are elements in us who would like to experience through the senses, and there are elements in us which would like or strive for the higher, and there is a conflict between those two groups of shepherds. There are different types of people. If we look, it depends of how much we want to look into like modern psychology. There's about 16 types of personality. Fernando, have you heard about this? Felipe, Rodrigo, 16 types of personalities. Have you heard? It's in the modern psychology from the time of Carl Jung. Have you heard?
Yes.
Yes.
I do not. I cannot say that if he's 16, but yes, I read about it.
They say in general, this is the test that in his time they established like this format of thinking, and most of the people of the world are people who are, and we can check it a very short test. It's not a lot of time. Everybody can make this test, even online. And most of the people in terms of percentage are those who are driven by senses. And this is it is interesting. It is interesting. As I said, the choice to go with Abram, to go to the unknown, to go with the virtue, to marry the virtue. Not every human being is would like to marry or to live with a virtue, with a good virtue. Not everyone. It's not a common choice. Those who choose to live with a virtue, they will have a constant are having constant struggle. It's a constant strive to live with a virtue. Philon also described this in his book. But most of people do not mind, with what they live or how. Just don't. They don't even ask this question. I would like to hear you if you have thoughts on your mind or impressions. Felipe, Rodrigo, Fernando, Philip, Venus.
I was just thinking how the other day we were saying how we are the controllers. I think may have been the word used, but I'm pretty sure it may have been something else. Other us being the controllers from our spirit, our light form of our bodies operating here was just a premonition.
Again, Philip.
I was thinking just how the other day, I don't remember the exact wording that we used, but how we were saying how our souls here are incorporating our body as the controller. It was along those lines, but those words aren't giving the same picture on what we were saying just a few days ago. But the point was from then was that we are the controller. Our body was the controller that we're using as our spirit self. I hope gives the picture.
I try to see between your words. Fernando, did you understand?
So basically, being a spiritual self, where as our soul coming into here, our way into here is with our body, and being our original self, being a soul, that our body is the controller for the material plane.
Yes. It's just a house for the spirit. I mean, it's just a temporal house or dressing. The body is just a temporal dressing or house.
It just came up because we were talking about it a few days ago.
Mm-hmm. Yes. For a while we are here, and this is our body is a temporal
yeah, that's
house, it. House for the spirit. Yes.
For a set of time, even though our spirit's infinite.
Yes. This is a yes. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, Fernando?
Just listening at you, just listen.
Thank you.
Just one thought. I was thinking that that's why Abram is the uncle, and if I'm not wrong, there is this kind of term for uncle. I don't know if in the Bible it's the Dodi.
Yes.
But it shows this word in
yes.
Torah.
Yes.
About
yes.
Abram.
Yes. Dodi.
And we know we already talked about this deep meaning of this relation of the uncle. It's diagonal relation.
Yes.
And that's why I guess Abram is the instructor. I mean, if it was different, it was Lot. Was the if Lot was the uncle, then the body, the feelings, the senses would be in charge, but
yes.
it isn't like that.
Yes, it is very good what you say, that the uncle or Abram is the instructor. and the uncle is the instructor, and he can instruct the senses. This is what you're saying?
Yes.
Excellent.
Because this lot he carries within the name, he carries within the 45 in another way, in another form, different as Adam, but it's equal in form. It's in its potential. It cannot be let go. We cannot forget at all the body, and we have to. I guess we have to be able to unify, to rescue this aspect. But we do not. We must be very careful to not be governed by it.
Yes. It's like with
It's
spice. Yes.
Sorry.
Yes, please, Philip. Yes.
Only wanted to say important, not important to be governed. Both ends are important and important not to be governed fully by either, to keep a balance between it all, a healthy balance, kind of like the yin and yang concept. Both are important. And I guess it's a personal understanding to know where you stand, to know how much work you have to do for either direction. But both have to be occupied, and for a duality, I guess, to also stand back from both ends at the same time.
Yes. That's true.
Maybe some people who do consciously practice this, I guess a lot of different societies, I'll say, practice this. Buddhist monks do try their concentration on coming from this side and staying away from here. Even though I don't think they actually use a Bible, but they really persist on that side of it, which I also believe they've been here for a long time too. That's to say, been on Earth for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And practice from a young age.
Thank you. Fernando, would you like to summarize this conversation?
We talked about many topics, and I really do not know if I am able to summarize in one leg, but I think that we could say that we talked about the difference between Abraham and Lot inside of us, and what does it mean to be attached with one or another. And we could see this relation, how it is like repeated all along the divine speech that is the Torah and in our daily life. So Abraham is related with virtue and with our soul and with our sense of liberty and with love, and Lot is related with the slavery and the manifested and with the senses. Maybe this is a very brief resume from our session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for summarizing. And I would like to thank all of you for your participation today in this beautiful class and conversation. And the more, this is also in a general comment for the future, the more we read, if we choose to read Philon and others, the more we can discuss to the depths. And I hope that you notice the rate or the conversations that they hold more silence, less mathematics and more ideas and contemplation. And I hope that in the future we can go deeper, because Philon writes a lot about the secret level of the Bible that no one before him we have managed to express it in writing. So it is a very challenge reading to go to his deep thoughts, but I believe that all of us arrive to a place, or we have like kind of a vessel conversation that can host those beautiful conversations that Philon shares with us, because usually from academic point of view his ideas or his writings are discussed in a critic way, judgmental. This is what people do in the academy, linguistically also, but I would not like to judge his writing, just to share it with you and to see how you perceive his writing, because it is very deep and is very profound. And this is the first source that we find for the Bible before we meet Safot Echalot, the literature of Echalot, before we find the New Testament. The New Testament itself is a full allegory. It's not literal at all. And it is most profound writings to meet before we read the New Testament and other translators or lores that we read about the Bible. So I would like to thank you for your patience and your good friendship and good spirit that brought us to this beautiful moment that we could share those writings together. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eti. It's amazing. Yes.
And I would like
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we could meet here on Monday if you like. Yes?
Great.
Thank you so
Yes,
much.
thank you very much.
And
Thank you so much.
questions about Philon, write on Discord and I'll try to answer them. Thank you so much. Shalom, Victoria. Hello.
Shalom, shalom, Shabbat.
Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom. Bye-bye.
Shalom.